Before we start the presentation of the awards, there are a number of people who need to be thanked for a number of reasons. Let's start with my wife Diane for more than I can say. I'd like to thank Mr. Jump for all of his help and support this season, Mr. King for his infinite wisdom, the Wellington High School Soccer Boosters, the Athletic Boosters, Wellington Indoor Comfort, Wellington Implement, Brothers Chevrolet, Veterans of Foreign War, Village Market, Subway Subs for their support, and a lot of the hardware that's going to be passed out tonight was sponsored by these organizations. I'd like to also thank Brothers Chevrolet for sponsoring our championship t-shirts, which you haven't seen yet, but you'll be impressed when you do. Okay. They will arrive soon, and when they arrive, you'll all have them. I want to thank Mrs. Stahersky and Mrs. Hyde for putting together the dinners and the post-game meals that we've had all season. I'd like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Hyde for putting together the slideshow that we were just looking at. Mr. Young has put together a highlights tape that all the players will get. He hasn't got them all copied yet, but they're done, and everybody will have one soon. I'd like to thank the Wellington Athletic Boosters for the sandwiches and the snacks that they provided for us before each tournament game. I'd also like to thank the Wellington Athletic Boosters for the portable quick goals that were so important to our practices all season long. I want to thank our ball boys, A.J. Hyde, Eric Haynes, John Johnson, and Ben Bogan for all the running they do for us, helping to make sure that things are picked up and put away after the games. You saw a lot of pictures on the slideshow. A lot of pictures were taken this year by different people. Mr. and Mrs. Hyde, Mrs. Bogan, Mr. Mazzoni, Mr. Stawicki, Mr. Martin all contributed to those pictures and the ones that are over there on this display boards. I'd like to thank Mr. Mazzoni for the newspaper articles and the announcements during the tournament games. Mr. Woods from the middle school for supplying and setting up the PA system for us during the tournaments and providing all the helium for the balloons today. And would like to thank Mr. Young and Mr. Culp for filming the games for us. I'd like to also thank Scott Bryan. Scott, would you stand up? Some of you probably have seen Scott but don't necessarily know who he is. He came in the early part of the season as our new trainer. He's the man that gets the injured ready to play. Does all he can to make sure that we are as healthy as possible in a long season. His knowledge and his care of our athletes have helped us make a stronger team, especially this tournament season. I want to thank all of the parents for their support of our program and working to make it better. And parents, I know that there are a lot of things that you do that I don't hear about or see that are invaluable in making our season successful. These anonymous acts are very much appreciated. I'd also like to thank Coach Ridenauer of Ohio Northern University. Continues to be a major reason for the success of our program. It's been through his camps that we have become a much stronger soccer team. Each year we come back from Ohio Northern a much stronger team than when we arrived. For the second year in a row, not only did we go to Ohio Northern, but Ohio Northern came to us for a week, which helped us a great deal this year. Hey. Chances are I've probably forgotten somebody, and I apologize profusely. We have had an outstanding soccer season. We went farther than we've ever gone before, not necessarily as far as we really wanted to go, but we did some great things this season. And we're here tonight to celebrate those things. And one of the things that I feel makes this team such an outstanding soccer team is the fact that we have so many scholar athletes on this team. This year, on a roster of 16 have been named scholar athletes. To be a scholar athlete, you have to have a 3.0 grade point average during your playing season. And that's an extremely hard thing to do. So, because I feel that they are so important, we start out with the Scholar Athlete Awards. And since they are so important, we have the most important person in the high school hand them out. But unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight. So Mr. King's going to do it.
Obviously, Mr. Little hasn't talked to my wife when he said that. Important. When we had a pep rally earlier in the year, I said, and I meant this, I said this was my 6 years at Wellington High School, this is the best boys soccer team I've ever seen, and you guys obviously lived up to that. And as far as I'm concerned today, you still are the best boys soccer team I've seen. You guys play outstanding this year. You played as a team all the way through, and to lose in the regional finals 2-1 to the eventual state champion is nothing but greatness. And you guys deserve everything you get tonight and the rest of your careers. I think there's a combination of you get good coaches, of course, and Mr. Lowe proven their coaching, and you got great players. But you also have a great fan base, and I think that's Wellington Soccer. I've noticed of all the teams you guys play, I think those three combinations make you guys on top every year. And when me and Mr. Jumper just talking back here, and we said, I said, try to think of any professional, college, high school team in any sport that's won 5 straight championships in a row. And we really couldn't think of anything. The pros, there's no pro teams that'd be that consistent. College-wise, no, and on the high school level, even through all the sports, it's just tough to name any team that can be that consistent and win 5 straight championships in a row. That's a feat that I know right now. I don't know what that means, but later on in your life, that's something you guys will always remember and always be proud of. And we're also proud to pass out the Scholar Athlete Awards. And when we call your name, would you just come up and I brought Mr. Jump because he wants to shake your hand also. He's as proud as we are. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Yeah.
Love your support.
Okay, Nicholas Ziegler. Keith Smith. Zachariah Ziegler. Ryan Hyde. Kevin Moore. CJ Stahersky. Chris Young. Joshua Ziegler. Sam Forgas. Corey Johnson. Tyler Mealy. Mark Mazzoni. Neil Hendricks. Christian Hulsman. Greg Stawicki. Morgan Pop. Thank you.
As well as having that many scholar athletes, we have been named an academic All-Ohio team, which means the team GPA is 3.0 or above. And on top of those honors, we have 2 seniors this year who have been named as academic All-Ohio athletes. This is an impressive accomplishment. It's accomplished by players like Kevin Moore and Chris Young, who have been named academic Ohio athletes. The requirements for this award are being a senior with a 3.7 grade point average or better. Kevin and Chris have met those requirements each of their 4 years at WHS, and this year's academic All-Ohio awards have been sponsored by the Veterans of Foreign Wars. These young men have accomplished great things in their high school career and will probably continue to do so at the college level. Congratulations. I don't know why I got that. 4 years ago, before the beginning of the season, Mr. Jump told me he was pretty sure that we would win back-to-back conference championships, and then went on to tell me how hard it was going to be to repeat as conference champions. That year was this seniors class freshman year. Not only did they win the conference championship that year, 2001, but they have won it each year since. 5 conference championships in a row. It's a pretty impressive situation, but not necessarily the most impressive. The WHS Soccer team has played in the district championship in each of the last 5 years, winning it 3 of those 5 times. Winning this year's conference and district championships were goals that were set at the beginning of the season. Goals that were met by hard work from January through August in the weight room, at open gyms, conditioning sessions, and at practice. They were goals that were worked on from the end of last season through this season. They were goals that were accomplished because of, as Vince Lombardi said, we're good because we work hard. This year's conference district conference championship plaques are sponsored by the WHS Soccer Boosters, and we thank you. Now we're going to get all of these champions up here in a row for you to take a picture of, one at a time. And we'll start with Mr. Fortis. Mr. Hyde. Mr. Johnson. Mr. Culp. Mr. Moore. Mr. Stersky. Mr. seniors, you're called Mr. You guys just a first name basis. Tyler Mealy. Dan Bogan. Neil Hendricks. Mark Mazzoni. Christian Hulsman. Morgan Pop. Ryan Poznako. Bryce Reinhardt. Keith Smith. Greg Stewicki. Nick Ziegler. And Zach Ziegler. For the last 5 years, we've had a Ziegler bringing up the rear of the line, and we have another. They clean up pretty well, don't they? This is an impressive team. You know, when we think about an 18-2-1 season with a conference championship, a district championship, and a trip to the regional finals, and we look at a group of 20 boys where if you were at the CVCA game and saw the sideline of the CVCA team, the number of boys that were there were a whole lot more than 20. When you look at the competition that these guys play, you know, Midview is a Division I team. Firelands, Brookside, Keystone are all Division II teams. We're one of the 2 Division III teams in the conference, one of the few that have accomplished, we're the only team that have accomplished 5 conference championships. No other Lorain County team has been to the district finals 5 times in a row and won it 3 times. This is an impressive group of young men. We're going to move on to the All-Conference, All-County, All-Greater Cleveland Awards. These awards are presented to individual players, but they're team awards. It's unlikely that any player would receive these if the team weren't strong. In the past 4 seasons, our conference record has been 40 wins, 2 losses, and 6 ties. The WHS boys soccer team has not lost a conference game in over 2 years. When we went to the all-conference selection meeting that Sunday after the last regular season game, I went with the thought that since we hadn't lost a game in 2 years, that we should just name our starting lineup as the first team all-conference. There were some other coaches who showed up at the meeting who had a different idea. Just as we wouldn't be conference championships without champions, without every player that was on the field, every player on the team is in some ways responsible for these individual awards. The players who receive them have every right to be proud of their accomplishments and need to be appreciative of all their teammates do for them to make them shine on the field so that they can receive these justly deserved awards. We were able to gather awards for 9 of our 11, really 12 starters, and to me even that wasn't enough. That is definitely an impressive number of players to receive postseason honors. But those starters that weren't honored should have been. It's also impressive to look at the list of all Greater Cleveland honors. The Greater Cleveland District is made up of schools from Lorain, Lake, Cuyahoga, Geauga, and part of Medina County. It's the largest district in the state. In that district, we placed 9 of our starters on the All Greater Cleveland list. And 3 of those players, Ryan, Johan, and CJ, were among the top 10 vote getters in the Greater Cleveland area. And adding to that, Ryan was the top vote getter in the district, making him the Greater Cleveland Player of the Year. Not bad for one of the smallest schools in the district and one of the few without a JV program. For the 3rd time in 5 years, we have a player, Brian Hyde, selected for All-State recognition. This year's Conference County Greater Cleveland and All-State players are freshman Christian Hulsman. Come on up, Chris. First team All-Lorain County Conference, 2nd team All-Lorain County, 2nd team All-Greater Cleveland. Sophomore Mark Mazzoni. Honorable mention All-Greater Cleveland, honorable mention All-Lorain County Conference, honorable mention All-Lorain County. Senior Sam Forgas. Second team All-Lorain County Conference, 2nd team All-Lorain County, honorable mention All-Greater Cleveland. Senior Ryan Hyde. First team All-Ohio, 1st team All-Greater Cleveland, Greater Cleveland Player of the Year, 1st team All-Lorain County, Lorain County Player of the Year, 1st team All-Lorain County Conference, Greater Cleveland All-Star, Lorain County All-Star. Senior Dan Culp. First team All-Greater Cleveland, 1st team All-Lorain County, 1st team All-Lorain County Conference, Greater Cleveland All-Star, Lorain County All-Star. Senior CJ Stahersky. First team All-Greater Cleveland, 1st team All-Lorain County, 1st team All-Lorain County Conference, Greater Cleveland All-Star, Lorain County All-Star. Senior Chris Young. Second team All-Lorain County Conference, 2nd team All-Lorain County, honorable mention All-Greater Cleveland, Greater Cleveland All-Star, Lorain County All-Star. Senior Kevin Moore. Honorable mention All-Greater Cleveland. Senior Josh Ziegler. First team All-Lorain County Conference, 1st team All-Lorain County, 3rd team All-Greater Cleveland, Greater Cleveland All-Star, Lorain County All-Star. Gatorade is once again honoring athletes they call Will to Win athletes. These are players who do as much as they can throughout the year with their team to help it and them become the best that it can be. Many players started working for this season last December when Mr. Young and Mr. Culp started the indoor season with them. They worked through that and started at open gyms and weightlifting in January. From there they moved on to conditioning and summer activities and continued to go to the weight room and open gym. This year we are recognizing the team members who put in the most hours during the off season. Gatorade provides 5 of these awards. We are fortunate to have more players than that who frequent the weight room, the open gyms, and conditioning in the summer, but Gatorade provides only 5 awards. So we took 4 of the top in hours spent. This year they were Ryan Hyde, Dan Culp, Mark Mazzoni, and Cole Stewicki. We're also going to recognize a player this year who showed the will to win by truly sucking it up and playing through one of the most gruesome-looking injuries this team has ever seen. Those of you who saw CJ's injured ankle before the EC game would certainly agree that he sucked it up for the team in that game and the 2 that followed. CJ. Good job, John. Of 20, not big enough for a JV program, but really too big for a varsity program. The younger and inexperienced players aren't usually going to get a lot of playing time. But they come to practice just like the starters, and they practice in the rain, wind, heat, and cold, just like those who get the field time. They do this with the hope and expectation that their time will come. With the determination to stick it out, the desire to get better, and the dedication to spend the extra time and effort during the off-season, it will. Coach Lively is going to present our numeral winner awards. You ready? Good, because I can think I think unless one of these guys broke it.
Morgan Pop. Even though there is a Morgan Pop on our roster, to everyone on the team, there is no such person. From his first day here, Morgan has been known as Bear. In some cases, Bear is just slightly larger than half the size of the people he is squaring off against. But he, like many others on his team, didn't let that bother him this year. With a lot of time in the off-season spent working hard, Bear will soon go on to help his team on the field. Congratulations, Bear. Brian Posnarko. In 8 games, Paz did not allow a single goal, giving him one of the best goals against percentages in the state. Paz, like many of his teammates, improved greatly since the beginning of the season. The last 2 weeks was when he improved the most. I don't think that anyone was more worried about whether or not CJ would play the EC more than Paz was. But when Paz had to step it up and become our starting keeper at practice for the 2 weeks after CJ's injury, he did. We have always been extremely fortunate to have the best goalies in the area be on our team. With a lot of hard work in the offseason to improve his speed, strength, and skills, Paz will finish off next year still being one of the best goalies in the state. Congratulations, Paz. Bryce Reinhardt. We take everything we do here very serious, and we take nothing more serious than practice. Although we only had 14 people who played extensively on the field, it is because of people like Bryce that we were able to play almost full-sided scrimmages at practice. Although Bryce did not start this year, he, like the other numeral winners, made it possible for the ones who did start to be ready to play and be on top of their game. Congratulations, Bryce. challenge this year. Midway through the season, Nick sustained an injury that forced him to wear a face mask to protect his nose. A couple of days later, we had our first game since he got his mask. In that game, Coach and I had the opportunity to put all the non-starters on the field. Nick was the last to go on. Coach wanted to talk to him and tell him that since he had just gotten his mask, that if he wanted to try it out and practice more before taking it on in the game, that no one would have a problem with that. Where some people may have said that that was a good idea, Nick, after thinking about it for a couple of seconds, said he'd like to play and try it out. If Nick keeps up that attitude and works hard in the offseason to become bigger and faster, then he will certainly go on to help his team in the future. Congratulations, Nick. At the beginning of every year, you wonder about what you'll do for the defense. You wonder about what you'll do for the offense. And you wonder about how far you'll go in the season. One thing we've never had to worry about here at Wellington is if we'll have a Ziegler around. With his positive attitude and good work ethic applied to off-season work, Zach will no doubt do his part to carry on the Ziegler tradition here at Wellington. Congratulations, Zach. Neil Hendricks. Neil is one of the friendliest people we have on the team. He is one of those people who doesn't have a single bad bone in his body. Although Neil did not start this year, he didn't get jealous of his teammates who did, and he could often be heard shouting encouragement from the sidelines during games. As one of only 4 upperclassmen on the team next year, Neil's positive attitude will be a great asset to the team. Congratulations, Neil.
Our first-year awards. The first-year award, the letter award, is presented to players who have met a minimum number of playing halves. And this year's letter winners are Dan Bogan, Dan is one of the players who has shown his desire to become better, his dedication to his team, and the determination to make himself and his team the best that they can be. Dan started this year as a starting back, a position he earned by his hard work during the off-season and during two-a-days. During the season, when I would call in the scores into the newspapers, I was asked more than once why I didn't call in nominations for Players of the Week. I told them that we didn't become as successful as we are because we had a player with great stats who would grab the attention and needed to become the Player of the Week. We have become successful because of strong upper-class leadership, consistent overall play, and players like Dan who are willing to put the team above themselves. Dan is a good marking man, one who is going to get better, and one who, when it became necessary to concentrate more offensive strength on the field, never once complained about losing his starting position. Dan is the ultimate team player, who, if I were to nominate Players of the Week, he is the type I would nominate. The player who wants to win as a team, the one who agrees with Magic Johnson's statement, we can't all get a lot of press, but championships are more important than press. Congratulations, Dan. Christian Hulsman. Christian is already a remarkable player with the potential to be amazing. He is mature beyond his years and skillful beyond what any coach could hope for from a freshman. He shot his way onto a very experienced, successful team, becoming the leading scorer on the team. He scored 25 goals and has 9 assists. His skills with the ball made him a starter from the first game of the season. As the team's leading scorer and being a freshman, it may have been expected that he would have become a weight at the top of the arc, send me the ball kind of player. Christian is a team player in the truest sense of the word. His defensive skills have won him many balls this season in the offensive third, setting up his own goals and most of his 9 assists. He's an unselfish player who can play up front or in the midfield effectively. He has the ability to be a strong center mid in the Wellington fashion and has been used there successfully to change the look of the Dukes on the field and to create more opportunities. His work ethic is as strong at practice and during the off-season as it is on the field. He started coming to open gyms as a 7th grader and was a regular in the weight room and at conditioning sessions as an 8th grader. He is well deserving of the first team all-conference honors that he received and the County and Greater Cleveland Awards. Congratulations, Christian. Keith Smith. Keith is a freshman who would probably have started on every other team in the conference. He is an outstanding 12th man for a team that was loaded with seniors inexperienced this year. We knew that if needed, we could put him at any position on the field and not worry. Keith has good field knowledge and plays a strong, aggressive game of soccer, the type of soccer we like to play at Wellington. He has good game sense, and he is not afraid to use his skills against older and more experienced players. Keith knew he was going to play soccer for Wellington as a junior high student and started working to become a field player as soon as he was allowed to. He came regularly to the weight room and open gyms and conditioning to make sure he was ready as a freshman to play varsity soccer and take on the older players in the conference. Congratulations, Keith. Greg Stawicki.
So that's his last name.
Greg is another player who started early to prepare himself to play varsity soccer as a freshman. He took advantage of all opportunities to make himself as strong and ready to play soccer as were given to him. His field play would have made him a starter on any LCC team and on most teams in the county. He's another of those aggressive players who believes the soccer ball has Wellington High School's name on it and it's his job to claim it for his team. Greg is a player who can play forward, midfield, or in the back. During most of the season, he was in the midfield with trips up front to change the pace of the game. During the tournament season, he and Johan switched back and forth from midfield to backfield, and he showed us another aspect of his play. Watching him in the EC game and going toe-to-toe against CVCA, we know we have an all-around player who has the potential to be truly an outstanding soccer player for Wellington High School. Our second-year letter winners. Sam Forgas. Last year I said this about Sam. We saw a soccer player playing his heart out every game and playing through injuries most of the season. We saw a player who started practice and before most games in the trainer's office getting wrapped so he could play. Sam never needs to be told to suck it up, we need you. He just does it. He probably lied to me more than once this year when I asked him if he was all right. This is the type of kid teams win championships with. What he might lack in skills, he makes up in heart and attitude and effort. Well, some things never change. I can say the same thing this year. In fact, I just did. This too can be said about Sam. He's been the voice of the Dukes for 3 years. His first year as a backup player, most often heard from the sideline. Last year, he worked his way into the starting lineup as a back and became a physical force as well as a voice on the field. Sam is willing to work as hard as he can possibly work to make sure the opponent doesn't score. His work ethic has paid off for the Dukes the last 2 years. Last year's record-setting low goal allowed mark of 14 goals in 19 games fell to this year's 12 in 21. He is a team leader who leads by example and is unwilling to settle for anything but the best from himself and his teammates. And he is more than willing to let those slacking off know how he feels. He has developed a very strong ability to cut off oncoming forwards and send the ball upfield to the forward on the run. In his 3 years, Sam has set the standard of effort that those following him would be wise to try to attain. And if they do, Wellington Soccer will continue to be successful. Corey Johnson. Corey has shown the desire to be a member of a good team, and he has been a backup player for 4 years. He continues to work with his team and work hard for the team. As a senior who didn't get a great deal of playing time, he remained one of the most positive members of that team. It was good working with him. We wish him the best. Mark Mazzoni. Mark is a 2-year starter and is one of those players who goes out, works his rear end off day in and day out, helps his team offensively and defensively, and makes the team the best that he can possibly make it. I believe that Mark is the most underrated and unrecognized player in the conference and in the county. He's an outstanding midfielder with the ability to move the ball upfield and find the forward for the cross that Wellington has become known for. Mark is so unselfish, he has had to be reminded that there is no rule against outside mids shooting. And when he remembered that, he helped his team with some very important goals. I believe Mark is one of the 2 best defensive mids in Lorain County. His racing back into the defensive third of the field made the Wellington defense the best defense in Greater Cleveland. He has outstanding foot skills, very good speed and reaction time, the ability to steal the ball from older, more experienced and bigger players. With Mark feeding Chris Young balls, this season the right side of Wellington's offense was a powerful force. Many of Chris's 12 goals and assists started with Mark stealing the ball in the midfield or defensive third of the field. Mark is another of Wellington's players willing to sacrifice year-round to make WHS Soccer the best that it can be. Congratulations. Tyler Mealy. Tyler is another one of our underrated, unrecognized Lorain County soccer players. He's an extremely hard worker on the field. He takes his position, the game, and his team very seriously. All very good characteristics for the player who will be the only returning senior next season. Tyler's defensive skills of attack are usually pretty successful. Like all aggressive players, there are times that the ball or the player gets beyond him, but not for long. He's not a player to quit when something goes wrong. He's back in the fray without a second thought. He is also a player that learned what it means to suck it up this season, the hard way. His aggressive defense often put him in the position to take hits, and hits he took. By the end of the season, he was shrugging off some pretty hard hits. Tyler was one of our players whose skills peaked at the end of the season. He got better and better as the season went on, and watching him in the tournament games made us realize that even though we are losing a lot of strength through graduation, there are some very bright spots on the horizon for Wellington Soccer, and Tyler is one of them. Kevin Moore. These are our third-year awards. Kevin has an outstanding shot that is extremely accurate. It is shown by his 15 goals this season. making him the second leading scorer on the team and one of the leading scorers in the conference. Last year I said Kevin's intelligence carries over onto the soccer field. He puts himself in the right position to make the best shot possible. His ability to place the ball right where it needs to go makes him a danger on the field. Those words were even more true this year than last. Using him in a three-man front with Chris and Christian, they accounted for 52 goals this season, making the Wellington forwards a group to be feared by their opponents. Congratulations, Kevin. Chris Young. Chris is a four-year Wellington player who finally had a near injury-free, illness-free season and made the most of it for himself and his team. Chris has a wicked cross from the right corner into the box that has accounted for 15 assists and a number of other goals that were touched by his teammates before ending up in the net. Chris is a player with a good shot of his own. He's a lot better from outside the six than from inside the six, but he is willing to use his skills to make sure the ball gets in front of the goal to make the best opportunity to score possible. His sense of team success and his ability to work in unison with Mark and Christian has helped to make them all better players. Chris's long legs don't always look the most graceful on the field, but his long stride has made him a defensive threat in the offensive third of the field, helping to keep the ball in front of the opponent's goal and helping this Wellington High School soccer team score 99 goals this season. Wellington has had some outstanding forwards in the past, and they've scored a lot of goals, and they've led their teams to some great successes, but none of them have used their abilities to set up goals from their teammates' feet as well as Chris has. Congratulations. Josh Ziegler. Josh was a stopper and marking back in his sophomore and junior years. He stepped into the sweeper position this season. He made the transition very successfully, carrying on the family tradition of helping to take Wellington High School soccer to conference and district championships. Josh became the anchor of the Wellington High School defense that allowed only 12 goals this season. One of the reasons for that low number of goals allowed is because Josh and his fellow backs allowed fewer shots than in any team in Wellington soccer history. Josh's size and his long strides make him a difficult player to get through or around. He is very adept at pushing oncoming forwards, taking the ball away from them, and clearing it upfield to the mids or forwards. On a team that prides itself on its defensive nature, Josh is an outstanding defenseman. Fourth-year awards. Ryan Hyde. As a center mid, Ryan is the heart of the Wellington offense, the catalyst for Wellington High School ball movement up the field, and an excellent defensive midfielder. He is a field and team leader who leads by example. As a four-year starter, Ryan's teams have been 62, 10, and 6. They've won 4 conference championships, have played in the district finals all 4 years, and have won the district championships 3 out of those 4 times. His foot skills, field vision, and speed and agility are a major reason for the success of the Dukes. Ryan's the quintessential team player, with the heart of an athlete who wants his team to succeed. Most of Wellington's scoring and movement of the ball upfield originates with Ryan in the midfield. Since Ryan's sophomore year, when he became the leader of the Wellington midfield, the Dukes have scored more than 200 goals. This season, Ryan led his team to its best ever record and its 5th straight conference title. He's a team leader who devotes many off-season hours to the team building in the weight room, at open gyms, conditioning, off-season tournaments, and team camps. Wellington has been fortunate to produce some outstanding soccer players who've gone on to play college soccer. Ryan is one of those soccer players who will continue that tradition. Danny Johan Colt. one of the smallest players on the field, he's one of the most skilled, physically aggressive, and effective players in Greater Cleveland. He has outstanding foot skills and is deadly accurate at putting corner kicks into the danger zone. With his skills at corners, Wellington has scored off more corners in the past 2 years than in the previous 5 years combined. Danny usually starts at midfield but spends most of his time in the back as our left back, where he attacks from the back to bring the ball upfield to cross from the left corner. Danny's crosses have earned him 17, a season record, assists this season. Danny has the ability to switch the ball accurately on a 65-yard wide field. He has the uncanny ability to attack, steal, and attack from the rear, or send the ball upfield to his teammates with amazing accuracy. He has spent hundreds of hours at off-season team-building events in his effort to make himself and Wellington High School soccer better. Wellington is a better team not only because of his skills, but also because of his willingness to sacrifice for it. Dan Culp is another Wellington soccer player who will be playing soccer next year at a higher level. CJ Stahersky. CJ has been the Wellington keeper since the first game of his freshman year. He started as a freshman on a team that was defending Lorain County Conference champions and had made it to the district finals. Since that time, he has defended that conference title each of his 4 years. He has played in the goal in the district finals in all 4 years, winning the championship 3 times. None more impressive than this year's final, when he played on an injured ankle that would have sat most players down. He has 35 shutouts in his career, 13 this year, breaking the record that he set last year. His size, strength, and agility are important assets, but his greatest strength is his ability to read the opponent, then mentally and physically react with tremendous timing and accuracy. CJ really wants to be a forward, and when we could afford to take him out of the goal, he was able to show off his field strengths. Scoring 5 goals and 7 assists throughout his career, there were a number of times this season when CJ ended up being the only senior on the field, leading a team filled with inexperienced players and doing a remarkable job of it. Congratulations, CJ. We're going to move on to the team awards, the individual team awards. Okay? We're going to start with the most improved player. This is an important award because we all have to get better or we're not going to be where we are. And we have players who get remarkably better every year, it seems. And none so more than this year, Chris Young, our most Hustle Award. If you look up hustle in the dictionary, at some point you're going to find Sam Forgus' name. Sam, come on up here. Every year the seniors present an underclassman what we call the Seniors Award. It started, I believe, my first year, maybe even before. Who knows? Okay. This year it's not going to be any different. The seniors are going to present an award to an underclassman. They're going to explain the award, and then they're going to present it. Seniors? Thank you, Chris.
we met to decide who was going to get this award, Coach said it should be someone who will carry on the traditions that we set forth in our 4 years. And I don't know, this player's been so much more. Always showing up to open gyms, conditioning, great attitude. Always coming in. It was always like a pleasure seeing him there. Never a frown on his face. Always playing 100%. Never ever having to tell him, hey, pick up the pace, play a little harder, play with heart. Always, not always smiling, but going along with good attitude, good sense of humor. He didn't rack up the stats that some of the players did, but he's probably the huge team player. And like rock solid player, just I can't even stress that enough. Quintessential? It's Kevin's word. And he came up for us in big games, scoring an EC and Avon's 1-0 victory. Who am I speaking of, you ask? None other than Mark Mazzoni. And he's part of Team Wigwam. Right side.
Just for that, I got something for them now. Yeah, they gotta come
Okay, you
back.
guys need to all come back.
The underclassmen decided to show their seniors how much we like them. And we only can think of one way. And we have a contest right now. First one to open these.
Oh, yeah, I don't even have one.
First one to open gets to keep it. Ready, set, go.
Got it! I win!
All right. You can all keep it, but maybe we'll get a prize for you. So that's our appreciation to you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Nice.
Since it's the time for gift giving, first off would Mr. Culp and Mr. Young come up here, please? These guys have been with us since the very beginning. Second grade, 6 years old, I remember coming out for the team, and they were the coaches. I don't know how many of us would be here if it weren't for them. Like, they started this. They just started us off on the right track and led us on to success. These are from the seniors and like the Predators, pretty much. Old school. team.
Yeah, whoever opens there first.
Christmas ball here with all the names on it. All the kids' names on it.
And we also can't forget how many hours they put in for the camera and the commissary.
Well, I can't open it. Mike. How'd you do that?
Turn around, Steve.
All right, let's clean it up, Mike.
Speed. Speed.
And now for Coach, I mean, he's put in more hours than I can even imagine over our 4 years. I think it's bordering 1,000, like 250 to 300 every year. It's just amazing, the dedication. No other coach in the county, maybe not even the state, has the dedication that our coach has. And along with Randy, the best assistant coach around. And so your gifts.
First of all, I'd like to thank Coach Little and Coach Lively for 4 successful seasons. The seniors would also like to thank Mr. Muleman and Mr. Young for coaching us and preparing us for high school soccer. I'd also like to thank the underclassmen for providing us good competition and practice. With hard work and dedication, you guys will be fine. Next, I would like to talk about a few things that I always remember, such as sitting next to Corey in the locker room, looking down at his size 14 shoes, and looking at my size 7 shoes, and saying, Corey, I feel it's half of yours. I'm always going to miss Sam being the team comedian. He always has something funny to say. I'm going to miss CJ's awesome goalie skills and his great leadership on and off the field. I'm going to miss Josh doing his dance in the locker room. Ryan and I share lots of memories. Most recently, we cracked each other up when we rode over Bodie's face when he was asleep at the leadership retreat. I always remember when Kevin and I were 10 years old and we played on Air Premier for Dance Almeida. Lastly, I'll never forget Chris Young scoring the goal in the CBCA game to put us ahead 1-0. I'm going to miss you guys.
for the year I started soccer. I actually didn't want to play. I wanted to play hockey. But my dad made me play soccer for the year. And I turned out loving it. Came to the first practice. I wasn't really looking forward to it, but by the end of that practice, I knew that I was going to like it. Mr. Young and Mr. Call, they showed so much love for it. I could tell they really loved coaching us. I can remember Mr. Call running up and down the field, and then he'd jump on the goal and do some chin-ups right there. I don't think we'll forget Mr. Young's substitutions. I think we still all got the marks to prove it. Well, those of you who don't know, it was horrible being on the sidelines because if you're going to go in, he'd grab your neck and just wring it till you got in the field.
Only way I can get your attention.
It worked. But I mean, we really can't thank you enough for all you've done. You made soccer so much fun, and you instilled the love of the game, and I think in all of us seniors, that's why we've been playing in all of our lives. And secondly, I'd like to thank Mr. Will and Coach Randy. Like CJ said, they put in so much time and hard work. I can't think of another coach who's so dedicated. He said he's putting over 300-something hours. That's just 350. That's just unbelievable. And you think it's hard because Coach Will never played soccer as a player, so it'd be hard to coach as part of the ever played. But he, I don't know how he does it, but he makes up for it. He more than makes up for it with his the way he inspires us and motivates us. And I think he proves it with his record. He has an unbelievable record. And I just want to say thank you for all you've done, all the sacrifices you made for us to become a better team. And thirdly, I'd like to thank all the soccer moms for making us those awesome dinners before our conference games. I've never seen Deanie happier. We really enjoyed that. That was the highlight of our week. And lastly, I'd like to thank the players. You really made this memorable season. It was just amazing. The attitude, the work ethic, it was all there. I mean, the underclassmen made it really easy for the seniors to lead. And like, even though we had 4, captains, it was more than that. Like, we had the 8 captains that really could lead. It's just some of us wore the armbands. And like, we had some holes we had to fill this year because we graduated some people. And I mean, we had players and they stepped up great. We had Christian in the main spot in the forward. We need someone to get some goals for us. And it hurts that it was a freshman scoring the goals, but it's great. You're a great player this year. Same for Stowicki, Marcozoni, and all you players that really stepped up. And Coach said it earlier, but Dan Bogan, that really epitomizes the attitude of Wellington soccer. He had a starting job and he gave it up 3/4 way through the season so we could get some more offensive strength in there. And I was just say thank you guys for making the season so great. I'll never forget you. I read a quote once and it said, you'll forget the plays and the goals, but you'll never forget your teammates. And I think that's true.
The other senior wish to speak?
Yes.
Okay. Well done, gentlemen. Nicely done. We're going to continue with our awards. The Defensive Player of the Year. On a team that allowed only 12 goals, fewer shots than it's ever allowed at any point in time, it would be hard to choose a Defensive Player of the Year. And it was hard to choose a Defensive Player of the Year because we have an outstanding defense. But we had to come down to a Defensive Player of the Year, and this year it was chosen. Josh Ziegler was chosen. Offensive Player of the Year. And once again, on a team that scores 99 goals in a season, I think 98 goals would have been better for Chris Young. he would have been happier with 98 because he wanted that 100. When we said 99, he just went, The Offensive Player of the Year on a team that scores 99 goals is a hard choice also. All of these awards would be hard choices on a team that is this good with so many quality players. This year's Offensive Player of the Year is Ryan Hyde. The Coaches Award. This year there were two players who continuously, especially during the off-season, put the betterment of the team before their own pleasure. These two were always in the weight room, rarely missed an open gym, and more rarely missed a conditioning session. This year's Coaches Award goes to Danny Culp and Ryan Hyde. Our Player of the Year, the last of our individual awards. On a team that has won 5 conference championships and 3 district championships in 5 years, there would seem to be a number of players who would qualify for this award, and there are. And this is certainly not a team of one player carrying all the others. It is a team in the truest sense of the word, which makes this award all the more impressive for the player who receives it. The player who receives this award should be extremely proud to know that on a team of outstanding players, he was chosen as the one who represents that team at its highest level. This year's Player of the Year, chosen by his coaches and his teammates, is C.J. Stahersky. Those are all of the individual awards, but we have a few other things to take care of. There are 4 junior high students who are sitting in this room today who stood on the sideline of all of our home games and most of our away games. And the word spread that they were such good ball boys, they got to be ball boys at away games as well as at home games. Will our ball boys come up, please? This is the face of Wellington soccer in the future, and it's a good face. It's a good thing for us to look forward to. These young men stood in the rain on the sideline. They run as much as some of the players on our field because that ball will go a quarter of a mile down there over by the trailer park. They work extremely hard for us, knowing that someday they're going to probably play soccer for us. And it's this kind of attitude that we know that the future of Wellington soccer is bright because of kids like this. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, now, you guys passed out your presents. Randy and I will pass out ours. If the seniors would come up. It's not like this is a surprise, is it, fellas? Each year, for those of us who haven't been here before, each year in the last few years, we've given the seniors a sweatshirt, a hooded sweatshirt with their team statistics on it. And this year is no different. And what is amazing is this senior class's statistics. I don't have them in front of me, fellas. It's on the back of your sweatshirt. Would one of you read off the statistics on the back of that?
62 wins, 12 losses, 6 ties. Regional finalists 2004. District champions 2001, 2, and 4. Lorain County Conference champions 2001, 2, 3, 4, and and then our conference record.
Bifocals are in your future.
Our record in the conference is 40 wins, 2 losses, and 6 ties.
Yes, sir. That's it. We would like for all players to stick around after the awards so we can get pictures of you with your awards to send to the company or the group that sponsored your award. Those would be our scholar athletes, all conference, county, district, state award winners, academic All-Ohio awards, and all of the team awards. So pretty much most of you need to stick around for a little bit. Okay. Another announcement, Mr. Young and Mr. Culp have graciously volunteered to once again lead our team into the indoor season. It usually starts the week before Christmas, and I'm sure Mr. Young or I will be in touch with you pretty soon to get that stuff going. We're going to do something tonight that we haven't done in a while. Last year at the end of the season, we knew we had 8 returning seniors, or upcoming seniors, and we knew that with those returning seniors that good things were going to happen, not just during the season, but throughout the off-season as well. And we knew that if 2 seniors couldn't be someplace, 2 other seniors would be there to take their place, and everything would move smoothly through the off-season, and it did. And that is one of the reasons why we are so successful, is because of the commitment of all of our players all year long. You don't see that in other teams around the area, and if you did, they would become as successful as we are. So we're keeping it a secret. So this year, because we are graduating 8 seniors, and we have just 1 really committed senior coming back for us, and we know that he is committed, and we know that he's a hard worker, we are going to name captains for next year tonight. And next year's captains are going to be Tyler and Mark. Now, gentlemen, that's a double-edged sword. It truly is an honor to be named captain of the Wellington High School soccer team. But there's a lot of work involved in it. And your teammates are going to start looking up to you tomorrow for the leadership that they know you're going to give to them. Congratulations on that honor, and we know you're going to do the best that you will with it. Okay. Last year, I started this part of the program, the ending part of the program, with this statement. We had a good season. Winning the conference title and playing in the district final for the 4th straight year makes it so. Even as good as it was, it can be better. Well, it got better. It got a lot better. 18-2-1, the best record ever. The 5th straight conference championship, a record that no other team in the Lorain County Conference will ever be able to match. It got better. It was a great season. It was one that's going to be hard to match, let alone beat. But one of the goals of Wellington Soccer every year has been to be better than we were the year before, and to go farther than we have ever gone before. We should set no lower goal than that for next season. What is it going to take for us to get there? As hard as we have worked this year in the off-season, it is going to require us to work even harder next year. We're going to have underclassmen step up and help Tyler lead this team to meet our own high levels of expectations. This year, we were very fortunate to have the strength of strong leadership in the senior class. They led this team to a level of soccer that we have never seen before, and they led us farther into the tournaments than we've ever gone. And when we got there, we saw how good you have to be to get to the Final Four in Ohio soccer. Underclassmen, you have to decide how far you really want to go next season and how hard you are willing to work to get there. While we're losing 8 seniors, I will remind you that CVCA started just 2 seniors in their regional finals, and their starting lineup was mostly sophomores. The upcoming sophomore class is as large as this year's senior class. That class, the upcoming juniors, and Tyler have some pretty impressive soccer players coming back to lead Wellington into a new conference. Skills alone won't take us to where we want to go. Vince Lombardi said of the Green Bay Packers back in the day when the Pack was the best football team in America, "We are better than everybody because we work harder than everybody." Well, gentlemen, if you want to go farther than you have ever gone, you're going to have to work harder than you have ever worked. That will take some doing. We have had some pretty hard-working teams in the past. I've made that statement about working harder than ever before more than once. And when the team actually did, we really did go farther than we had ever been. Coach Libby and I have talked quite a bit about next season, and one of the things that is always mentioned is that because of our youth and inexperience, for us to just maintain the level of soccer we are at now will require us to work harder than we've ever worked before. It's up to you guys. So you can't start to do it in August or even wait until June. It's going to have to start soon, very soon. The weight room will be opened in January. Open gyms will start in January. Conditioning will start as soon as the weather permits, and we will begin to prepare to go farther than we have ever gone before. We won a lot of games this year. We had an outstanding season, a season of great memories. We accomplished great things, things to be proud of. But now it's time to put that season to rest, put it into our memory banks, and move on. Thanks for a great season, guys. Let's look forward to another one. And so, unless there is somebody that has something for the good of the order, we will call the 2004 soccer season officially open. Thanks for all the great memories of a great season, and we look forward to seeing you again next year.